There's nothing right now that suggests that this is criminal. We're trying to find and establish who built it, why they built it, what were their intentions.
That was Toronto Police Deputy Chief Mark Saunders talking about why that tunnel remains a mystery. With more on the investigation and also what police are doing to get to the bottom of this mystery, I'm joined by P.Y. Bourduas. He's a former RCMP Deputy Commissioner and he is in Ottawa. Welcome to the program, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Suhana.
Quite the mystery. I'm fascinated by it because it seems like it's a tunnel going nowhere or a room that somebody took a lot of time and effort to build. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, what's interesting is they discovered this tunnel on January 14th. So it's over a month and a half now, and the police is reaching out to the public. So obviously the police in that period of time have done their homework. They've probably done the neighborhood inquiry. They've probably checked with other intelligence sources, national security agencies to find out and determine whether or not there might be a connection with known terrorists or potentially known criminals.
And do you think over that time, since, police were informed about it, as you say, last month, weeks ago, would they have kept watch to see if anybody came to, use it, get their stuff or whatever?
What's interesting with the press conference is Deputy Chief Saunders indicated that when the police officer initially showed up, there was actually heat in that tunnel. It was indicated about 70 degrees. And the generator was running. So it appeared to me that the perpetrators or the people that were actually digging and working in that particular tunnel had been there shortly before the police showed up there. So what's intriguing is that they probably set up surveillance, but they might have been trigger wires, strip wires set up by these people to indicate whether or not someone would approach their tunnel, and which appears to be the case because they've never come back. Mm-hmm. The other point is he's mentioned that they're waiting for forensic examination results. Yeah. And he's indicated that they seized items out of the tunnel. So DNA is a possibility that might be able to lead the police agency into a particular direction.
Here's a question for you. What we heard from the deputy chief was that nothing at this time is there to suggest it is criminal in nature. He said it's not a criminal offense to dig a hole. But when you talk to me about, tripwires and generators going and maybe people knowing that police had found their hideout, that kind of sounds a little more ominous to me. Are you meaning to sound ominous?
Well, for me, it's interesting how you labeled a mystery tunnel, because actually this tunnel, according to the news conference, was leading nowhere but out there in the open, which might indicate that it could potentially have been a staging area for something else.
Like?
Well, if you have a major event happening this coming summer where you'll have over 7,000 athletes and 36 different venues in the city, and you have a tunnel near this particular event, again, it's pure speculation on my part, but it certainly would cause concerns to the law enforcement agency responsible for the security of this particular event. Hence the reason why Deputy Saunders was reaching out to the public in order to find answers to the reason why this tunnel was located so close to a major venue for such an event such as the Pan Am Game.
He did say, Mr. Saunders, or Deputy Chief Saunders, that police are holding back some of the items in order to prove, that there is a connection with anybody who might call into police, et cetera. So they're keeping some information away from the public. But then they're also releasing some. Like, for example, there was a rosary found that was tacked into the wood in that holding area. Tunnel would be maybe the wrong word because a tunnel assumes it leads somewhere. This one didn't. With a poppy attached to it. How does your mind work when you hear something like that, an item like that?
It certainly was counterintuitive to me, looking at this tunnel, thinking national security, terrorist threat, and so on and so forth. And of course, terrorists have a certain belief, which is counterintuitive to the fact that to have a rosary on the wall along with a puppy was counterintuitive to me. And I would imagine that the police are also considering this particular factor in their ongoing investigation.
Is it possible to pull fingerprints off, something like that, something as small as that? Because I'm sure that's part of the forensic investigation, right?
It is, and it will be indeed. But he's also indicated that there were some other items left behind. So fingerprints is one possibility. The other one, again, like I've indicated, is DNA, which in these types of investigations could yield very interesting leads as to what to do next for these law enforcement agencies.
Final question for you, PY. Could this totally be, kids, as some people have suggested, engineering students who decided to try their hand at building a holding tunnel or a room, and now they don't want to come forward? My brain, being a sort of a citizen, if you will, a civilian, works kind of that way. What about yours?
Well, it's a possibility, but what you have to bear in mind is the police has known the existence of this particular tunnel since the January 14th. So it seems to me like the police would have gone to the university to determine whether or not there would have been such a project that a student would have started. Also, with the media, new people came up with the story over 24 hours ago. It seems to me like if a student or a body of students would have gone to the extent and to work and build this tunnel, they would have gone to the fore in order to at least acknowledge the fact that it was an ongoing project for them, and that hasn't been the case so far.
I want to thank you for your insight. I think it's always great to get a different perspective, and you've certainly gone in depth with that, and I thank you, PY.
My pleasure, Suhana.
PY Bourduas joining me live from Ottawa.